Hey, what's up, everybody? Merry Christmas if you celebrate. Happy Random Friday Showdown slate if you don't. I'm Brian Jester, co-founder here at Occupy Fantasy, and we're back with some more NFL DFS picks and lineup advice for both FanDuel and DraftKings. This Christmas single game showdown slate between the Saints and the Vikings. In this video, we'll look at the top plays on FanDuel and DraftKings, talk about specific lineup strategies for low risk and high risk contests, and then just some general tips and advice to help get you to the top of your contest leaderboards. Before we get started, though, go ahead and click that subscribe button below. That way you get access to all of our videos as soon as they're released here on YouTube. We're going to do our 2,000 subscriber giveaway pretty shortly, so be on the lookout for that. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video. Lets us know that we should continue to make these types of videos in the future. Any questions you have, you can always hop in our Discord channel. The link is in the description below. Or you can just comment on this video, and even though it's Christmas, we'll get back to you and answer your question. So let's look at this slate. Vikings and the Saints. The Saints are 7-point favorites, a total of 51 points. It's a little bit higher scoring affair expected. And first glance, the first thing we'll notice, and you'll notice when you're making these showdown lineups, is the prices of the four main players on the slate: Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, and both quarterbacks, Drew Brees and Kirk Cousins. The four most expensive players. And if you look over to FanDuel, it's the same thing, the four most expensive players. So let's start with our low risk lineups, our 50-50s, our double ups, our head to heads, any contest that pays half of the field, you double your money. All you have to do is get into the top half of it. So what we look to do is play low or high floor plays. And if you've read our Showdown Guide ebook, the Captain Spot, 15 chapters of back tested data and research on how to win showdown contests, then you'll know that the entire chapter on low risk strategy is to try to lock up all the touchdown scoring in the game. And the way to do that is to play the running backs and quarterbacks from both sides. So if we try to do that in this game, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, two backs who we know are going to get most of the work, and then Drew Brees and Kirk Cousins, right, the quarterbacks. If we try to do that, let's just say we played the lowest price of the four on DraftKings at the captain spot. Then we have Cook, Kamara, Brees. That leaves us with a whopping $1,000 left per play. Not great. If we go over to FanDuel, Dalvin, Kamara, Brees, Cousins, literally $500. The cheapest player on FanDuel is $5,000. So not possible. We can't get in our preferred low risk and high risk, or our preferred low risk core of two quarterbacks and two running backs, at least on FanDuel. So what you have to do, let's just stay on FanDuel for a second here. What you have to do is make a decision of which of these four, if you play low risk contests, that you want to exclude from your lineups. So on a slate like this, we'll just say don't play low risk contests. Unless, of course, you can find some really inexperienced players, no badge head to heads, some small field contests with a bunch of inexperienced players. Sure, go take a crack at those. For us, if we had to choose one to exclude, it would probably be the underdog quarterback and Kirk Cousins, but it doesn't feel great. It doesn't feel great at all. So good luck if you play on FanDuel in your low risk contest. Now, DraftKings, we always have the trick in our toolbox to be able to fit this in. It says don't use any of them at the captain spot. So if we put Cook, Kamara, Brees, Cousins in the flex spots, $3,400 left per player. Not a huge amount, but we can fit in a cheap player or defense or kicker at captain, then fill in with the remaining value. And this is the most balanced approach when we have really expensive quarterbacks and running backs. So just keep that in mind if you're making your low risk lineups, especially on DraftKings. Now, if we're thinking high risk lineups, these are our leagues, our GPPs, our satellites, where we need to maybe not find the optimal lineup depending on the size of the contest, but at least get in the top 1% to make some real money. This is where we have to have a high risk approach. The risk has to match the reward of your contest if you're making these lineups. So let's talk about some of the injury situations coming into this game, because these are the big factors that are going to determine how you make your lineup. So on the Minnesota side, let's just keep Minnesota players in here. Kyle Rudolph is out once again. He's missed the last couple of games. Irv Smith has been the lead tight end in his place at 5,200. Don't forget about Gronklin either. Tyler Conklin, playing like 60% of the snaps the last few weeks, actually has more targets than Irv Smith over the last two games, 9-8. Caught a touchdown last week, significantly cheaper. Definitely an option if you're trying to save salary. Not necessarily saying he's a much better play in a vacuum than Irv Smith, but in the context of building a showdown lineup at $2,200 cheaper, a pretty good play. In the backfield, Alexander Madison's out once again, this time with a concussion. So it's going to be Dalvin Cook's backfield for as far as we can see it. maybe Amir Abdullah and Mike Boone mix in some, especially now that the Vikings have such a slim chance at making the playoffs. But more than likely, they're going to run Cook into the ground 35 times. So that's it for Minnesota. New Orleans is where it gets really, really interesting. So Michael Thomas on injured reserve. Traquan Smith now also on injured reserve. Hurt his ankle in the last game. So who's going to be catching passes from Drew Brees? So Manny Sanders is going to be the number one target, 8,800, priced like a number one receiver. Had a disappointing game last week. I just needed a couple more points from him for the million, so would have been nice. But again, he's going to run the most routes, going to be out there, probably get the most targets from this team, from Drew Brees. Now they designated him to return, and they activated Marquez Callaway, who's going to be the number 2 receiver on Friday. And guess what? Callaway, let's find him down here, $200. That's right, minimum price as the number 2 receiver for the Saints. We'll see him get a little popular, like 15 to 25%, depending on which contest you're playing in. And you might say, who the hell is Marquez Callaway? Fair point. But if you look back to weeks 5 through 7, when he actually had a legitimate role, he had 16 targets over a 2-game stretch when there were other guys injured. Mike Thomas was out. Emmanuel Sanders was in and out of the lineup. So Callaway should get some volume here, especially if the Saints have to pass it all. And if you're looking beyond that, their wide receiver 3 and 4, our guy Lucas, if you read our college football daily plug, if you read our MLB daily plug in the past, Lucas loves random college football players. NFL preseason is his time to shine. He's a big little Jordan Humphrey fan. He caught a touchdown last week. He'll be the wide receiver 3. Hell, maybe the wide receiver 2 on Friday. He's 2,600. Everyone's going to play Callaway instead of Humphrey. He'll go way, way, way low owned. If you're stacking him with Breeze, he's a great option. And then, of course, Jawan Johnson's going to be the wide receiver 4. And then Austin Carr is going to be the wide receiver 5. So if you're digging really deep, you're playing really large contests, that's how the wide receiver depth chart is going to shake out for the Saints. And what most people say, why are you even mentioning these players? And mostly it's on FanDuel. It's mostly on FanDuel. Let's go over here. And actually, what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull up our Occupy model. I'm going to show you guys this. And cool. Got it up. And if we sort by FanDuel MVP ownership, if you play FanDuel single game, you know that the quarterbacks are the most popular MVPs almost always. Here, in this game, we get 2 quarterbacks that are 8% MVP projected, 5% MVP projected. You may say, Brian, that's really low. How are you guys so sure? Listen, we have a 99% correlation with our projected ownership at the FanDuel MVP spot in single game slates. We're pretty sure that they're going to be pretty low owned. So not only do we get leverage against really popular MVPs, we actually get to use quarterbacks at low ownership. And with Drew Brees, we can have unique lineups because we have so many different pass catchers to play with him. So if we go over to FanDuel and we put Drew Brees in our MVP spot, even if we use Emmanuel Sanders, even if we use Alvin Kamara, and now we use Marquez Callaway, for example, their number 2 receiver, he's $5K is minimum price. At least with $15,000 left per player, and we could do all kinds of things with our lineup there. Whether it's naked Kirk Cousins, whether it's one of the Vikings' top receivers, lots of different ways we can play this. So many different stacking options. If you're playing 20-plus lineups, this is a perfect slate to play quarterback MVPs and mix and match. The same goes over on DraftKings. Very rarely, let's go back to the model. If we sort by DraftKings captain percentage, very rarely do we see a favorite quarterback on a 29-point team total with not a 7% captain projected. Kirk Cousins, 6%, 28% overall, 6% captain, 22 flex. That's crazy for a quarterback of his caliber. These types of ownership numbers are reserved for the third-string quarterbacks of the world, Ryan Finley's, Ben DiNucci type guys. But we get it with Kirk Cousins, a quarterback who's going to be throwing the ball to Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, and Justin Jefferson. So very rarely will we say this in a showdown slate, but it looks like a really good slate to play quarterbacks at MVP and captain. So keep that in mind. I think that's the biggest edge on this slate. Everyone's going to rush to play Alvin Kamara and Dalvin Cook, rightfully so. They're great players. But when you can get quarterbacks with differentiated lineups, with really good stacking options, that's the way to go. That is how you win showdown slates, when you can find leverage with really good plays. Generally, we're looking for leverage on showdown slates with really bad plays. We actually get 2 good quarterbacks that we can use here instead of 2 good running backs. That's simple. So We talk about this a lot more in our daily plug, occupyfantasy.com. Go check that out. It's already up. It's got all the top plays and information about each individual player on the slate. Specific, even more detailed lineup building strategies for FanDuel, DraftKings, low risk and high risk contests. Again, occupyfantasy.com is where you can read that. It's already up. I know it's Christmas, but we've been working hard. It's up for you. Go check it out before this slate locks at 4:30 Eastern. All right, that'll do it for this video. Appreciate everyone listening on a holiday. Thank you. We appreciate all of our viewers this year, and we like putting the content out for you. So again, thank you. And to do us a favor, hit that subscribe button below. Boost our subscriber count. Let you know when all of our videos are released on YouTube. Give us that thumbs up as a Christmas present to us. Any questions you have, we're #always online. So just comment below, and we'll answer before the slate locks at 4:30, even on a holiday. So, Brian Jester for Occupy Fantasy. We appreciate you listening. Good luck, and we'll talk to you soon.